song. She says, stand in your power, women, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother's calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She say, give birth, give life, mothers, give birth, give life. Listen, 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 listen.
Thank you very much for joining with us. So the idea of this call is to give you a little appetizer of the encounter we will be co-creating, hopefully with all of you, in Burgundy at the end of March on the occasion of the solstice weekend, 20th to 23rd of March, called Radiant, Nourishing Feminine Aliveness. And we thought that one of the best ways for, giving you a taste of the program, because it's certainly not something locked in stone where we will be following the agenda to the T, is more to introduce ourselves and what brought us to call this gathering. And of course, we will give you a little flavor of how we imagine the days unfolding. So I will be your co-host together with Soumeya and Ashwini. We will also be joined by our special friend Licia Ama, who is busy today, but will be our empathy buddy. So personally, some of you may know me, some less. I've been working in the field of international collaboration, solidarity, humanitarianism for about 25 years with a focus on food systems. And it's been a long journey, which might resonate with the course that some of you are undertaking, because I think if you felt called to this place, we were very daring making this call for women with a big mission. Yes, we probably, if you're here, it resonates. We want to improve the world. We want to make it a better place. And the challenge is that often we burn out in the process. It's difficult to do some from a space of nourishment. And that's been my own journey, struggling quite early on with this desire to help as many people as I could, help protect the earth, and yet how to do so without burning out, especially when you're faced with deep suffering. I worked in Afghanistan, in the Horn of Africa, I think in Chad. I've seen some of the poorest places in the world. And of course, it's hard. And we're also seeing a lot of environmental destruction. We're seeing political upheaval. So a big part of my own journey over the last 25 years, but I would say more deeply in the last 10, 15 years has been how can I act in the face of suffering from a place of joy, from a place of love? How can I continuously nourish myself as I try to give for fear of otherwise running out? We always say you can't pour from an empty cup. I've found a lot of answers to those questions through my practice and discovery and deepening of Ananda Yoga and meditation, all the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda and the Ananda community. And those have helped me go a long way in finding ways to connect to what I would call the source, the source of life, the source of love, connecting to a space of peace that I could come back to through my practice. And constantly have to come back to. My journey has also been marked by the fact that I do not have children, and that was not a choice. That was the unfolding of life. It was a deep wound that I struggled with for many years, but that has been a blessing because it has led me to explore what is maternity about? What is being a woman if you can't bear children? Are there other ways of embracing motherhood? And that really has been one journey that has led me to deepen my connection to what I would call with the divine feminine, and also through that with the earth, with Mother Earth. And I remember asking once Mother Earth, please heal me. How can you heal me? This wound in my womb. And her answer was, your wound is my wound. And that really brought me again to a deeper connection. And with friends, including Ashwini, we founded this movement, Listening to the Earth. And then this NGO, Listening Inspires. And this wound ended up being a deep blessing because through that process, I found that fertility and creativity and femininity could be expressed in many ways. And when I kind of let go that desire of having a child, it's a place came, the place Les Marions, which is where we will be hosting you, which my husband and I have been renovating for 5 years. And this will be the first retreat of this kind we hold here. I'll share a brochure of the place in the chat. And I found Les Marions, it's not a coincidence. It's linked to the Marys, Mary and Mary Magdalene, the divine feminine is very present in this land. And I've seen it be a very healing land and a very fertile land. Many projects are born here, and anybody who comes here feels really supported and embraced. And that's my hope for this retreat. So that's a little bit of my journey, and just to give you a touch of what I hope to contribute to a space we will co-create. And now I invite Soumeya to say a few words about herself, her journey, and then Ashwini, and then we'll give you a little taste of the program.
So, hi everyone. I'm Soumeya. I'm tuning in from Algiers, in Algeria, North Africa. I am a body-based facilitator, embodiment teacher. I am deeply passionate about transformation and a reconnection to self and decolonizing the mind, the body, and the spirit. And I I grew up during the war in Algeria during the civil war, and I grew up with an autoimmune disease. So I had to connect to my body very early on to just be able to function. And I think my body was always my compass to finding my way. Like my body is the compass. When it stops working, it means my environment is not right. So navigating the world with my body was always actually the piece that just brought me back to myself and brought me back to reconnection. My body called me back to reconnection because I was so dissociated with all the collective trauma and the individual trauma and the healing that I had to do the work of both reconnecting and removing everything that kept me separate. And as I was healing, I just discovered that there were layers and layers. So when I went through my divorce, there was a layer of deepening this relationship to the body. And then I was a lawyer and I burnt myself out. And I was another layer of reconnection to the body and finding myself again. And then a third layer after my second burnout when I was in philanthropy and the COO of this nonprofit. So every time it was just a deepening of reconnection and bringing new elements of transforming, reconnecting, and just relating both to my body, to the earth, to my environment, and to others differently. And my body of work just came from that. And that's how this retreat came to life, right? It's about how we can just dissolve, because I feel like we are in a system that is designed to commodify our bodies. We live in a system that is designed to harm and oppress so many, and many of our bodies are actually in pain in this system and don't know how to function. And I've been thinking of this place and building spaces around regeneration and oasis. And I was an activist for years, and my parents were activists, and my grandfather was an activist. And I come from a lineage of activists that were exhausted, people with big missions. We have a big voice, but who've been in fight mode and fight or flight, just exhausting themselves and depleting themselves to fight for a big cause. And that's what drives me. I feel like in my lineage, I am the voice that is bringing something else because my body wouldn't allow me otherwise anyway. So it gave me the tools to just create what I envision as an oasis. And I just want you to picture that, what it feels like to have an oasis of regeneration, where we connect to that frequency of being fully nourished and feeling life, like being in life and allowing our bodies and being so connected to our bodies that life moves through us and we are not separated from that flow. It's the space where we are connected to our creativity. It's the space where we can find joy, but it's also the place where we can feel our rage, where we can feel our grief, where whatever emerges is actually allowed to emerge. And as I was journeying through all of these spaces, I started working with archetypes, working with Jungian psychology. And the work of archetype connected me to the mother. And in the space where we are holding this retreat at Charlotte's Place, Les Marions, it is very much connected to the archetype of the mother. Because I feel, especially women in service and women with big mission, we are embodying an archetype of a wounded mother, of a mother that is in self-sacrifice and martyrdom. And what we are building, and I feel our generation, and this time we actually have to restore a template of a mother, an archetype of a mother that is fully nourished and alive, that is supported, that feels held, that is connected to other mothers, that can be mothered again. And I feel this path, especially as we do it in circle with other women, especially when there is a land that is close, when we are connected to the element, when we are connected to the wheel of time and the cycles and the seasons, something just comes home and it feels like a sigh of relief. And the way we've been designing this retreat is actually how can we build a space that feels like a sigh of relief? I'm gonna stop here. And I'm gonna let just Ashwini talk about the piece that she is bringing that just completes the puzzle of reconnection to aliveness.
Nisambula Vinaka. Good evening and namaste. That's some parts of me. And then bonjour, because I'm in another people's land where it's bonjour. So I am Ashwini, and I'm from Fiji, from the South Pacific. But I have blood and ancestry lineage from India, which I grew up saying, I don't belong to that place. And then I grew up and I realized, actually, I very much belong to that place, even if I don't belong to that place. And I found myself in France since 7 or 8 years. I am actually working in the field of communications and climate change since about 20 years. And so I find myself very connected to the earth and what's happening with Mother Earth, the transformation that's going on, and how humans are impacting it. So that has been my sort of trigger for going into a lot of consciousness work in relation to where humans and Earth interact. And as a child, I was always sort of growing up fighting patriarchy, let's say. And I think that's also why every space that's related to rise of the feminine and like, let's get into our power and our leadership is like calling me all the time. And my journey has been a little bit with an organization called Art of Living, which deals with a lot of stress relief practices and how leaders show up in place and how we manage our own anxieties and stress in our roles and our lives at home, at the workplace, or wherever we show up. And I think this is why this space is very special for me to participate in. And what I'm bringing is actually to do with nourishment and creativity through something I hope we all love, and that's food. And my approach to food is regenerative food and life-giving food. And that's in Ayurvedic, so ancestral Indian culture, they would say food which gives prana, which gives life. So it's not for the sake of just consuming something that's coming from the earth, but having this whole connection, what we are consuming, where we are consuming from, and how we are consuming, and how we are preparing what we are eating. So I'm going to be bringing that element into the workshop, doing some amazing art and creation through food. And hopefully that art and creation is going to inspire your body to be in creativity and artisticness in this workshop. And we are going to look at how we bring like holistic, nourishing food that's kind of not in an extractive way, but eating in a holistic way, in a conscious way when we participate in this workshop. So that's what the little spice that I will be bringing to the workshop. Over to you, Shala.
Thank you, Ashwini. Well, I can already say it'll be much more than spice. It'll be consistency. I hope you'll have understood through our sharings that, this workshop will be a place where we can come with all of who we are. including our rage and our desire to affirm our vulnerabilities. There will be space for all of that, and we will explore some difficult topics like patriarchy and decolonization and all of that. But from this point of view of also, where does the reconciliation need to occur in ourselves and amongst ourselves? Also as sisters, we also know that women are not always the nicest to each other. So there are many ways that feminine leadership can be refined, deepened, and to be more nourishing. So these are some of the themes. But how, Soumeya will tell us a little bit the framework that will hold what will emerge, which we don't know yet. But at least I think we have a strong framework guided by the elements. Soumeya, you want to describe that?
Yeah, I can. I think, well, the women of Omnia know the framework because it's something I use. Um, so the medicine wheel. So I received a transmission by Lakota people, but the medicine wheel is, I'm gonna say Native Americans, but they're not so American. The natives in America, from north to south, have used this framework in one way or another, and this medicine wheel is a circle with 4 parts, and it starts with the east as a beginning point. The east reflects the sunrise, and every direction every direction has its own spirit, symbols, animals, and from one culture to the other it varies. But with the Lakota, the medicine wheel has a very specific significance. So we're going to use it as the framework that will hold the journey for the 3-day immersion. So we're going to start east with the new beginnings because it's going to be spring and it's also the season of the east. And then we're going to move slowly, and it's the element of air. The element of air, we're going to work with the wind and connect to air and the new beginning. So we are carried forward with the new beginning and connect to the equinox because this immersion is going to be held during the spring equinox. And we're going to move to the second direction, that is the south. And the south is the element of fire. It's connected to passion, to our creativity, and to connection to others and relating. It's our desires. And the fire element is extremely exalting to feel. It's very ecstatic for a lot, and it really connects us to our summer aliveness. It's delicious. We love it because also in the system we live in, we tend to glorify summer and spring, and we love that energy. From the summer energy, we're going to move towards the fall. The fall is the water element, it's the emotional body, because every direction is also connected to one of our bodies, spiritual body, our physical body, and then we connect to the emotional body. And the fourth one, which one is it? Physical, emotional, spiritual. I lost one, sorry. It's gonna come back.
Mental?
And yes, thank you. And the mind and the mental body that is connected to the element of air. So with the fall season and the water element is the emotional body, and it's also our shadow work. So basically the transformation usually happen in that space. And the fourth one is winter, connected to the land, the element of earth, and it's our decomposition, the decomposition of the shadow we decomposed, the thing we're trying to dissolve, the belief we're saying goodbye to, are going to be integrated during winter season, which corresponds to really stillness and basically the dissension in the land for it to be composted and then be recycled for the new beginning once more. And that's how the wheel works. So gonna end and close the 3 days by going back to the circle, to the center, and the center hold everything in one moment. So we call the directions and we come back to center, and in the center we connect to both the sky and the earth, plus the wheel. So there is this, the way the Lakota people work with this element is really a way to come back to wholeness, to feel centered, and to feel a balance between all our bodies and all the elements in our bodies and our interconnectedness with the element in the cosmos. And all of it is going to happen with different activities through our food, through the body a lot because we work with the body, but also with reflection or different kind of processing that we're going to move through. Also, we're going to have a walk in nature and connect to Mary. And one component that I want to share also is the connection to the mother through the archetype of Mary and the self-love piece. Not only the self-love, but repattern our inner child conditioning through the angle of what if we were loved unconditionally, exactly like the story of Mary shows us how a little girl has been loved, and just bringing that just loving our inner child and mothering our inner child, not from wounding, but from a space of divine love for our divine inner child. And the idea is from that space, we heal a part of us that will allow us to express more and bring more of us into the room and come back to wholeness. So this is the framework. We never know what happens in those spaces. So I'm just sharing the frame, but what will happen inside is going to be the surprise. Um, we're open to questions, Charlotte. I'll let
Yeah.
you, Ash. But yeah, if you have any questions or if you're inspired to just share a reflection, please feel free.
Yeah. And just to emphasize, we really are inviting participants as co-creators. We're not there as those who know. We are not teaching. This is really more
Yeah.
space holding, and where everybody will contribute their wisdom and their uniqueness. Please feel free to ask questions. We're going to share this recording, but we will edit it so that you are not seen, so that you don't need to worry about your anonymity. So yeah, questions, suggestions also, things you would hope this encounter to be, because yeah, we're very open. Fatima.
Thank you so much. I feel more connected to this idea of joining, and I think it's what I have is more a comment, but maybe you will have something to add to it. When I was reading the description of the retreat, I got scared or like pushed back a little bit or pulled back a little bit when I checked women with big mission, and I was like, oh, I need to have the big mission. Like I need to have it like something concrete, and I don't have that concrete. So maybe it's not for me. I mean, I have this big thing to change the world, but that's not concrete enough. It's huge. But so I'm super happy that I joined now and I could hear you explain everything, and I don't feel that scared from this part of the sentence anymore. Thank you.
You guys want to answer or should I take this one?
I
Because
mean,
it's my fault.
but it's we said to Soumeya, it's a bit daring. Will this not be too intimidating? And Soumeya was like, I want to see the women who feel called by that. And if Fatima, if I can resume, I've also felt this big mission of having to save the world. And part of my journey has been to bring it down to how can I live from a space of joy? How can I be more love? And at the same time, reducing my mission to just being as best a person I can be, I find might be the most fulfilling thing for myself and the world. But that's part of the journey, and yeah, it's deliberately provocative.
Well, I would go even further. It's deliberately triggering, and it was a huge conversation actually between us because we know it's triggering for many. But why I insisted and we had the conversation, and that's also why I think my co-facilitators agreed and related to that, is it is so important to claim that more of us is actually big. And I want to go into the bigness. And there is so much shadow around big women, loud women, angry women. I want the big mission is actually to dial up that. And I wanted the boldness and the energy of that. And I know it's provocative, but there is so much polishing in women's spaces of, oh, let's be soft and open to love. And I love all of that, but it's still summer and spring energy. And actually, coloniality works in a linear way. We want just the light and the softness and everything, but I want to bring the boldness. I want us to claim I have a big mission, and my big mission is to be more of me everywhere, all of me everywhere, all of me right now with the anger, because There is so much to be angry for, but I know how to transform it and bring love into it. But I know, it's like big mission is how much truth can we bring in a space? And if we don't claim it in words, I feel we don't bring the embodiment, right? If we want to embody it, we need to. I want the boldness of being in a with well, like claiming my big mission. I know I've been here for more, and I know every woman I run into, every woman, from my grandmother to my cousins here in Algeria, to every woman I know, whether she's in a female body or not, she has something that if she shares and if she dials up, it will change the world. And I'm so convinced. And we need to own it so boldly. And I wanted to, I wanted and we wanted, and that's why we rallied also behind this big mission and women. Why we want women with big mission, and it's not about status or a position or a role. It's somewhere. It's about it's deeper than that.
Yep. And I was trying to paste in the chat the lyrics of the grandmother's song because there's that call to stand in your power. And our grandmothers are calling us, and our daughters and granddaughters and great granddaughters are calling us to stand in our power. Does anybody else feel inspired to ask or just share what comes to you after having listened to us?
I think Laura, you just unmuted yourself, or is that by accident?
Yes, we will do lots of yoga. She was asking. Yes, we will be doing yoga.
Oh,
We will be doing meditation. We will be doing beautiful embodiment practice that Soumeya um, will guide. So there will be definitely a variety of practices, and we can also gauge how much we do based on what we're feeling and what we're needing in the moment. And we will do some inside, some outside, also depending on the weather. And yes, we will be focused. It'll be vegetarian meals primarily, and or vegan if you need this to be vegan. Also, from a logistical point of view, I'll send more information on how to get here, but we're 2 hours, 15 minutes drive from Geneva, and we expect at least two of you will be driving from Geneva, so we can organize car sharing. There are direct trains from Paris that are in 1 hour, 35 minutes, take you to Mâcon, and from Mâcon we can pick you up. We're also quite close to Lyon. It's just an hour and a half by car or an hour by train to Mâcon, and then we pick you up, 35-minute drive. Other nearby stations are Chalon-sur-Saône or Le Creusot, so variety of options, and we'll coordinate to facilitate those kind of logistics. So, and yeah, we have a variety of rooms. Some can be single, some can be double, or even triple. We can see but a very comfortable. And we're not aiming for a big group. I think we'll be maximum 10, 12, because we want it to be intimate. So that really allows space for depth and trust to be built amongst ourselves. And it's also a space where we'll be really inviting you to do what you feel is right in the moment. If you feel at some point, you can't take part because the previous session has moved too much things inside and you need some quiet time to digest, you'll be very free. And our friend Licia is really, she's, a wonderful support and stress manager, and will also be there as somebody, both outside the core facilitation team, so a bit neutral, so to speak, and there as a listening, an empathetic listener, if you need someone to go to just share what might be a bit too heavy to hold alone. So we'll have those various ways of holding each other.
yes, and I want to emphasize what you just said, Charlotte, about everything is an invitation and consent is absolutely important. So you participate in a way that feels good and nourishing for you and for your body. So with the nonlinear movement, it's very easy. The body just goes wherever it can go. If you're able to expand, you do. If you just want to lay down, that's also an option. Sometimes you can just be in a circle and we will have cues to share with you, also to disengage if you don't want to be solicited or people to talk to you, but you still want to be in the group space. And if you want to be also on your own, you can follow your pace. And another invitation is to bring your art with you. So if you're a musician, if you're a painter, if you do whatever art you do, if you saw, if you whatever is your art, bring it with you. We will have nights by the fire. And I also work with sound. So I'm not a great singer, but I work a lot with sound when there's a lot of emotion as a way to release emotions and play as just we voice, we hum, we use the sound. So, and also to unlock just the voice and the throat chakra. So we will be sounding. So we can dial up and fine tune that part, whether at night around the fire or maybe even during the embodiment, because the embodiment practice brings the sound, the breath, and the body. And the idea is to engage and rewild every piece of us, so that what goes outwards is actually harmonious with what is inside of us. Because often we sound and we're like, oh, this does not reflect what I'm feeling here. And there are practices also to sync the inner and the outer, and all of it is just about exactly what we were sharing about the wheel, right? It's just balancing the bodies so we come back to wholeness and we express what is wanting to be expressed in our truth, without holding back anything. And yeah, that space of wholeness is actually a cultivation. And the idea of this oasis is to reconnect to that.
And another theme we want to explore together is the theme of abundance. We want this retreat to be abundant, nourishing, so we will have delicious food. I think some of you may have noticed questions on the cost. We do invite you to register early because we stepped in um, an early bird price. And for us, it's also been a journey of not underselling the place that we are wanting to create. We think it's really going to be beautiful. And yes, 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 there will be dancing, Courtney. And I was about to say, I think I haven't shared this with Ashwini and Soumeya. I think we would invite you to bring, a beautiful gown or dressing or costume, because at least one of those evenings, I think we should really celebrate and just make ourselves as beautiful in whatever way we feel our beauty. Let's have fun with it, so this is really that's what we want to bring, the energy of abundance and joy and celebration, where we will also embrace the shadow, but we will explore all those facets. Ashwini, oh, unmute please.
Yes, I just wanted to sort of express a little bit more on the nourishment side and the food and creativity. So I think when somebody asks, like, is it vegetarian, is it local, etc., I think we are doing the food part with a lot of intention. It's not just food for the sake of food, and there'll be a lot of consciousness in how we cook our food, with infusing it with mantras, with songs, with sound, and also finding food that's local, that's in the season, because there is a whole theory related to what we eat, because we are eating so much imported food in whichever season. And this is not meant for our body and our body's vibration. If we want to stay on high vibration and healthy generally and not accumulate toxins, etc., there is a certain way to prepare our nourishment. And I think I just want to emphasize that there will be a lot of sort of thinking going into how we design what we eat together, and how fresh it is, how much prana or life energy it has, and also making it available in abundance, you know. So if there is like even a snack, if we prepare that snack, will be prepared with a lot of thought. You know, I've been like getting excited about, like, when I was doing my postpartum doula work, I was making lactation cookies, which is also something we can use during our menstruation cycle or like other cycles. So I'm like, oh my God, this would be the great snack for the retreat. So basically, I'm thinking about it like very deeply. Like, it's not going to be any food. It's going to be special nourishment. And yes, taking into account any allergies, anything that we have, or just like concerns in general, which we will look into when we design the menus. So yeah. over to you and any questions that we might have.
Can I share a little bit about the nonlinear movement? Because there will be dancing, and dancing is different. But the main modality I use as an embodiment teacher is nonlinear movement. So it is a very specific modality taught by Michaela Baum that uses somatic experiences, somatic experiencing, nervous system regulation, rewilding practices, and tantra practices. So it's a space of, so we find the nonlinearity in the body to decondition and rewild, basically to undo and undo the posture of control and suppression in the body, because a lot of women are actually locked around the hips or locked here, and we are clenched around the womb and clenched around the jaw and clenched here. So all this tension actually gets released in the nonlinear movement. And as we call in emotions, as we enter into process work or shadow work, nonlinear movement just allows us to move whatever is arising very quickly and shift states and embody something else, something wilder, reconnect to aliveness. So you can check it out online. Yeah, if you're curious also about the practice, feel free to come maybe for an embodiment practice with, you can reach out to Charlotte or to Ash. I'd love to invite you to an embodiment practice because we practice every 2 weeks. So you have a taste of what we do. And that would be, we will have one practice a day of nonlinear movement, plus the yoga facilitated by Charlotte. So we are held by one linear practice and one nonlinear practice, so that the body is really reconciled in both. And of course, you do whatever feels good for you in the way that feels nourishing for you.
Yeah, and just to say a few words as well about the practice of Ananda Yoga, which I offer, is Hatha Yoga, so very accessible even if you're not a regular practitioner. But it's the characteristic is that we also associate affirmations, mental affirmations, to the postures, making it really a deep work that is working at the physical, emotional, and spiritual level. And it is designed where I guide in a way that really helps you build the awareness of the energy flows in your body, how to release energy and how to direct it so that you can deepen the connection to your source and to your, deepening your intuition, or if it resonates with you, deepening also the connection to the divine. Because yoga is very much that. It means union, and it's union with your divine self. And so that will be part of the journey. And those practices are very complementary and very powerful. And yes, I think Soumeya, you guide sessions with the Omnia Collective. They're online every 2 Wednesdays. You might maybe I can collect you, Olive, or others who are interested.
Yeah, I can send you the link and invite you to have a taste. Next week we have a session. So we work with Myth and Jupiter, and I will explain to you. Just reach out, and I'd love to invite you to a session.
Beautiful. I think with that, well, we're delighted if some of you are already confirming, and please write. So actually there's either this email that's in the brochure, connect@listeninginspires.world, or you can also write directly to me. I'm putting those in the chat, because I check my personal email a little bit more often than the Connect. And you have also the registration link in the brochure. And yeah, Soumeya is also, so do reach out, and we can, we hope to see you there. And I couldn't load the brochure in the place in the chat, but I will share it by email. And with that, wishing you thank you very much for coming. And as a way of concluding, I can maybe share the song again. So have a beautiful evening, everybody.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you, Ashwini.
I hear the voice of my grandmother's calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, stand in your power, women, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother's calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She say, give birth, give life, mothers, give birth, give life. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother's calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She say, teach them, be wise, grow and teach them, be wise. Listen, 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 listen.